Good morning, my friend. If you've been taking a blood pressure medication every day, whether it's Amlodipine, Losartan, Lisinopril, or another prescription, I want to ask you a simple question. Do you know what that medication is actually doing inside your body? Most people know that it lowers blood pressure, but very few understand how it works, what changes it creates inside the body, and which symptoms should never be ignored. That's not your fault. Doctor visits are often short, pharmacists are busy, and prescription labels can only explain so much. As a result, millions of adults over the age of 60 take these medications every single day without fully understanding how to use them safely. Today, I want to help change that. Welcome to my channel. My goal is to help you better understand your health in clear, simple language so you can work more confidently with your healthcare provider and make informed decisions about your well being. By the end of today's discussion, you'll understand why these medications work differently, what warning signs deserve attention, and several simple habits that can help you stay safer while taking them. Let's begin with something that surprises many people. Although amlodipine, losartan, and lisinopril are all prescribed to lower blood pressure, they are not the same medication. Many patients believe they're simply different brand names that all work the same way. In reality, each one affects your body differently. One relaxes blood vessels through one pathway, another changes the activity of certain hormones that regulate blood pressure, another works by blocking a specific enzyme involved in narrowing blood vessels. They all aim for the same result, a healthier blood pressure, but they take different roads to get there. And because they work differently, the side effects and precautions can also be different. That's why understanding your own medication is so important. Let me share the story of someone I'll call Richard. Richard was 73 years old. He enjoyed walking every morning with his wife and considered himself fairly healthy. After several months of elevated blood pressure readings, his physician prescribed a medication to help control it. For the first few weeks, everything seemed perfectly normal. His blood pressure improved. He felt reassured that everything was under control. But then he noticed something unusual. By late afternoon, his socks were leaving deep marks around his ankles. His shoes suddenly felt tighter than they had only a few weeks earlier. At first, he blamed the hot weather. Then he thought perhaps he had eaten too much salty food. As time passed, the swelling slowly became more noticeable. He started walking less because his legs felt heavy by evening. Naturally, he became worried. He wondered if his heart was becoming weak. He searched online and frightened himself by reading about heart failure. Fortunately, that wasn't the cause. His doctor explained that this type of swelling can sometimes occur with certain blood pressure medications because they relax the arteries more than the veins. Blood flows into the legs more easily while returning to the heart a little less efficiently. As a result, fluid may collect around the ankles. Understanding why it happened immediately reduced Richard's anxiety. Instead of assuming the worst, he spoke with his physician. Together, they adjusted his treatment plan. Within a short time, the swelling improved, and he returned to his daily walks. The important lesson isn't that the medication was bad. The lesson is that understanding expected side effects helps you respond calmly instead of making dangerous decisions on your own. One mistake many people make is stopping their medication without medical advice. Blood pressure often rises silently. Unlike pain, high blood pressure usually doesn't announce itself. Many people feel completely normal while their blood pressure is dangerously elevated. That's why healthcare providers sometimes call it the silent condition. Stopping medication suddenly because of a manageable side effect can place unnecessary stress on the heart, brain, kidneys, and blood vessels. Instead, think of side effects as information. Your body is giving you feedback. Some reactions are mild and temporary, others deserve prompt medical attention. Knowing the difference is one of the best ways to protect yourself. Another important point is hydration. Many older adults become mildly dehydrated without realizing it. As we age, the sensation of thirst naturally becomes weaker. You may not feel thirsty even when your body actually needs more fluids. Dehydration can make dizziness worse, especially in people taking blood pressure medication. It may also increase fatigue, reduce energy levels, and contribute to falls. This doesn't mean you should force yourself to drink excessive amounts of water. Instead, make hydration a regular habit throughout the day unless your healthcare provider has advised you to limit fluids because of another medical condition. Even simple habits like drinking a glass of water with each meal can help maintain healthy hydration. Another common misunderstanding involves swollen ankles. Many people immediately assume they should drink less water. In reality, reducing water without medical advice may actually make things worse. The swelling caused by certain medications is often related to changes in blood vessel function rather than simply drinking too much water. That's why self diagnosing can sometimes create new problems. Whenever you notice a new symptom after starting any prescription medication, make a note of when it began. Ask yourself a few simple questions. Did it appear shortly after beginning the medication? Does it happen every day? Does it become worse at a certain time? Keeping a small notebook with these observations gives your healthcare provider valuable information. Patterns are often more useful than trying to remember details months later. One of the best habits you can develop is becoming an active participant in your own health care. Bring a current list of all your medications to every appointment, include prescription drugs, vitamins, herbal supplements, and over the counter medicines. Many interactions occur not because one medication is dangerous by itself, but because several products are combined without anyone realizing it. You should also know that blood pressure medications work best when taken consistently. They are designed to maintain a steady effect throughout the day. Skipping doses because you feel fine or taking extra tablets because one blood pressure reading looked high is rarely the correct approach. Consistency is one of the keys to successful treatment. In the next part, we're going to discuss several warning signs that every person taking blood pressure medication should recognize, including one symptom that many people mistake for allergies, another that may signal an emergency, and several everyday products found in kitchens and medicine cabinets that can quietly interfere with these medications without people ever realizing it. Before we continue, I want to remind you of something very important. The purpose of learning about medication side effects is not to make you afraid of taking your medicine. These medications have helped millions of people reduce their risk of stroke, heart attack, kidney damage, and heart failure. The goal is simply to recognize the difference between a harmless side effect, something that deserves a phone call to your doctor, and a symptom that requires immediate medical attention. One of the most commonly misunderstood side effects involves a dry, persistent cough. Many people taking certain blood pressure medications develop a cough that doesn't produce mucus. It often feels like a constant tickle in the throat. You clear your throat repeatedly. The cough may become worse at night or while talking for long periods. Because it usually develops gradually, people rarely suspect their medication. Instead, they blame allergies, dry air, acid reflux, pollen, or the common cold. Let me tell you about Linda. Linda was 70 years old and loved spending time in her garden every morning. During spring, she developed a dry cough that slowly became more noticeable. At first, she thought pollen was the cause. She bought allergy medication, changed her air filters, and even stopped gardening for several weeks. Nothing helped. Months passed before her physician reviewed her medication list and realized she had started an ACE inhibitor several months before the cough appeared. After discussing the problem with her healthcare provider, her treatment plan was adjusted. Within a short period of time, the cough gradually disappeared. The lesson isn't that one medication is better than another. The lesson is that timing matters. Whenever a new symptom appears after starting a medication, it's worth discussing with your healthcare provider instead of assuming it's simply part of getting older. Now, let's talk about something much more serious. Although uncommon, swelling of the lips, tongue, face, or throat while taking certain blood pressure medications should never be ignored. Unlike a mild cough, swelling that affects your mouth or throat can interfere with breathing. If you ever experience sudden swelling of your lips, tongue, or throat, especially if swallowing or breathing becomes difficult, seek emergency medical care immediately. Fortunately, this reaction is uncommon, but recognizing it quickly can be extremely important. Most people will never experience it. Still, knowing the warning signs gives you confidence instead of uncertainty. Now, I'd like to discuss another issue that surprises many patients. Let's imagine you've been trying to eat healthier. Your doctor recommended reducing sodium, so you stopped using regular table salt. At the grocery store, you notice a salt substitute advertised as a healthier alternative. It sounds like a smart decision. What many people don't realize is that some salt substitutes replace sodium with potassium. For many healthy people, this isn't a problem. However, certain blood pressure medications can also increase potassium levels. When these two things are combined, potassium may slowly rise higher than expected. High potassium doesn't always cause obvious symptoms. Sometimes people simply notice unusual tiredness. Others describe muscle weakness that seems out of proportion to their activity. Some experience muscle cramps or an irregular heartbeat. Because these symptoms can have many different causes, people often don't connect them to their medication or diet. That's why it's always a good idea to tell your healthcare provider about every supplement, vitamin, meal replacement drink, electrolyte powder, or salt substitute you regularly use. Many people carefully list their prescription medications while forgetting to mention products they bought at the grocery store. Yet sometimes those everyday products provide the missing piece of the puzzle. Another situation deserves special attention. Imagine you develop a stomach virus. You're vomiting. You have diarrhea. You haven't been able to eat much for 2 days. Perhaps it's the middle of summer and you've been sweating heavily while drinking very little. Your body is now in a completely different condition than it was when your medication was prescribed. Dehydration changes how your body responds to many medications. Blood pressure may fall lower than expected. Some people begin feeling unusually weak. Others become dizzy whenever they stand. Kidney function may also become more vulnerable during periods of significant dehydration. This doesn't mean everyone should automatically stop taking their medication whenever they become sick. It means you should already have a plan. One excellent question to ask your healthcare provider is this: if I become seriously dehydrated because of vomiting, diarrhea, or another illness, what should I do with my blood pressure medication until I recover? Having that conversation before you actually become ill removes uncertainty during an already stressful time. Now let's move to another very common situation: joint pain, back pain, arthritis. Many adults over 60 occasionally reach for over the counter pain relievers without thinking twice. After all, they're available without a prescription. They must be completely harmless. Unfortunately, that's not always true. Some anti inflammatory pain relievers can place additional stress on the kidneys, particularly when combined with certain blood pressure medications. The risk becomes even greater if someone is dehydrated. Again, this doesn't mean you should never take these medications. It simply means your healthcare provider should know how often you're using them. Sometimes another treatment option may be more appropriate depending on your overall health. Never assume that over the counter automatically means risk free. Your kidneys don't care whether a medication came from a prescription bottle or a supermarket shelf. They only respond to the chemicals entering your body. One habit I strongly encourage is bringing every medication bottle with you to your yearly medication review. That includes prescriptions, vitamins, herbal products, sleep aids, pain relievers, allergy medications, and supplements. Many medication problems are discovered only after someone looks at the complete picture. The more information your healthcare provider has, the better they can protect your health. There's another symptom people often ignore because it lasts only a few seconds: dizziness when standing up. Perhaps you've experienced it. You stand from your favorite chair. For a brief moment, the room seems to tilt. You hold on to the table. Within a few seconds, everything feels normal again. Many people simply laugh and say, "I stood up too fast." Sometimes that's exactly what happened. However, if dizziness happens regularly after starting blood pressure medication, it's worth mentioning at your next appointment. Even a few seconds of dizziness can increase the risk of falling. Falls remain one of the leading causes of serious injury among older adults. Often, small adjustments in medication timing, hydration, or dosage may improve these symptoms. Never assume you simply have to live with it. Your comfort and safety matter. In the final part of today's discussion, we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make when checking their blood pressure at home, why consistency is more important than chasing perfect numbers, and several simple habits that help blood pressure medications work safely and effectively for years to come. We've covered how different blood pressure medications work, some of their most common side effects, and why paying attention to changes in your body matters. Now, let's discuss one of the biggest mistakes people make after bringing home a blood pressure monitor. Many people believe every reading should be exactly the same. In reality, that's simply not how the human body works. Your blood pressure naturally changes throughout the day. It may be slightly higher after climbing stairs, drinking coffee, feeling stressed, or having an emotional conversation. It may be lower after resting quietly, taking a warm shower, or relaxing in the evening. These normal fluctuations don't automatically mean your medication has stopped working. What matters most is the overall pattern. That's why healthcare professionals often recommend checking your blood pressure under similar conditions each time. Sit quietly for about 5 minutes before taking a reading. Keep both feet flat on the floor. Support your arm at heart level. Avoid talking while the monitor is measuring. Try to measure around the same time each day. These small habits make your readings much more reliable. Instead of reacting emotionally to one unusual number, keep a written log for several days or even a few weeks. When you bring those readings to your doctor's appointment, they tell a much more complete story than one isolated measurement ever could. One high reading after a stressful morning doesn't necessarily require a medication change. Likewise, one low reading after spending several hours in the summer heat doesn't always mean your medication is too strong. Patterns are much more valuable than isolated numbers. Another mistake I frequently see is people adjusting their medication on their own. Perhaps they notice one higher than normal reading and decide to take an extra tablet. The next day, their pressure seems lower, so they skip the next dose. Unfortunately, blood pressure medications aren't designed to work that way. These medicines work best when a steady amount remains in your body every day. Taking extra doses or skipping doses without medical advice can actually make blood pressure more unpredictable instead of more stable. Consistency is one of the most important parts of successful treatment. Another helpful habit is taking your medication at approximately the same time every day. Whether your healthcare provider recommends taking it in the morning or evening, creating a daily routine makes missed doses much less likely. Some people keep their medication beside their toothbrush, others place it near the coffee maker or breakfast table. Many use weekly pill organizers or smartphone reminders. Whatever system works for you is the best system. The goal is making healthy habits automatic. Let's also talk briefly about regular follow up appointments. Sometimes people assume that because they feel well, they no longer need routine checkups. However, blood pressure medication doesn't simply affect blood pressure. Depending on the medication, your healthcare provider may occasionally recommend checking kidney function, electrolyte levels, or other laboratory tests to make sure everything continues working safely. These routine visits help identify small problems before they become larger ones. Think of them as preventive maintenance for your health. The same way you service a car before something breaks, regular medical follow up helps keep your body functioning as well as possible. I also encourage patients to pay attention to lifestyle habits that support healthy blood pressure naturally. Medication is only one part of the picture. Eating a balanced diet rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats provides your heart and blood vessels with the nutrients they need. Regular physical activity, even something as simple as walking most days of the week, supports healthy circulation and overall cardiovascular health. Quality sleep matters as well. Poor sleep over long periods may contribute to higher blood pressure, increased stress hormones, and lower daytime energy. Managing stress is another important piece of the puzzle. Chronic stress doesn't just affect your mood, it can influence your heart rate, blood pressure, sleep quality, and overall well being. Simple practices like deep breathing, gentle stretching, spending time outdoors, prayer, meditation, or enjoying hobbies you love can all contribute to better overall health. It's also worth remembering that healthy aging isn't about perfection. No one eats perfectly every day. No one exercises perfectly every week. The goal is consistency over time. Small healthy choices repeated regularly often produce far greater benefits than dramatic changes that only last a few days. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Blood pressure medications are among the most carefully studied medications in modern medicine. For millions of people, they greatly reduce the risk of stroke, heart attack, heart failure, and kidney disease. They save lives every single day. The key is not to fear these medications, the key is to understand them. When you understand what your medication does, recognize possible side effects, know when to seek medical advice, and continue working closely with your healthcare provider, you become an active partner in protecting your health. Knowledge gives you confidence. Confidence leads to better decisions. Better decisions often lead to healthier years ahead. If you're taking amlodipine, losartan, lisinopril, or any other blood pressure medication, I encourage you to make one commitment today. Review your medication list. Ask questions whenever something isn't clear. Keep track of your blood pressure consistently. Never hesitate to tell your healthcare provider about new symptoms, even if they seem small. Many of the biggest health problems begin with symptoms that people thought weren't important enough to mention. Those conversations can make all the difference. I hope today's discussion has helped you better understand your medication and given you greater confidence in managing your health. If you found this information helpful, please consider subscribing and joining our community. Every week, I share clear, practical health information designed especially for adults over 60 who want to stay active, independent, and informed. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which blood pressure medication are you currently taking, and how long have you been using it? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story may encourage someone else who is going through the same situation. Thank you for spending these minutes with me today. Take good care of yourself, stay informed, continue asking questions, and remember that good health is built one smart decision at a time. I'll see you again very soon in the next video.